Alrighty, everybody. So Jed here with Scott Speech Up, and we're joined with our new friend Steve. You gotta go full character for us.
Raustabout rod the cycle. Warning, I are not a certified automotive technician. I are a gearhead what exited my mama's womb looking for something with wheels on it to build a hot rod out of. If you think following my advice is a good idea, you're even dumber than I am.
I didn't mean that much character. Who brought us a gift, and he's on his way to go sell this really sweet Ranchero. Anybody who wants this thing, I'm actually kind of falling in love with it, and I'm not a Ford man. But it's got fat tires, fender flares, and an obnoxious hood scoop. How can you not love this?
That's all your favorite things.
I know. It's like every car I own. This guy is super awesome. He's gonna be coming back by, and we got some video clips we're gonna show you from him with what he's got for us in the bed of his truck. Those will be coming up.
All right, so here it is, 74 Dodge motorhome chassis. I've got plans for the chassis. It's been sitting out here for several years, covered up with this tarp. Let's hope it's not just a rusted lump of stuck engine. It's not good for anything. Well, there she is in all her glory. All right, I got this old Dodge 440 motorhome chassis, and I'm not a Dodge guy, but I made a new friend, Jedediah Scott of Jedediah Speed Shop, or no, Scott's Speed Shop. I'm giving this motor to him, so fixing to pull it out of here. We'll haul it up there and tear it down and see if it's just a lump of scrap metal, if there's anything salvageable in it. Here we go.
We are back to the video. Anna, come on in. We are going to extract that beauty. Are you getting that, Anna?
Yep.
Thank you, Steve.
You're welcome.
You are the man. I know better than to fall in love with stuff like this.
He built one car.
Even though this isn't like the coolest front end, that scoop, this thing really is not bad. Steve is talking, this is going to be up for sale, and if you guys are interested, you shoot me an email and I'll get you in touch with him. Steve, what are you talking about wanting on this old girl?
Well, I'm from Texas. This is a good, clean, rust-free, never wrecked Texas car. There's 2 quarter-size holes in the floorboards, but that ain't nothing.
No.
Yeah, it's got a few dings and dents, but I figured, I'm hoping this is going to be the first of many cars that I buy in Texas and truck up to somewhere in the Midwest to sell in the Rust Belt.
Yeah.
Because the $4,000 that I'm asking for this car, or $3 grand without the wheels and tires, you will save that in the Midwest over rust repair.
And if my viewers don't believe you,
and I got a good clean, clear title on it.
that's a huge plus right there.
Yeah.
That right there is worth its weight in gold. I mean, if viewers don't believe about, Rust Belt Midwest, you can go look at that red Polara in that bay. Yeah. I mean, even though I'm not a Ford man and Rancheros, this year is not my favorite this year, but this thing's got a look.
Yeah.
And I think for that money, you can't beat it.
And in Fort Worth, I've got a stock flat hood for it. This one's got a big old hood scoop on it.
That hood scoop makes the front end.
I like it. Yeah.
I dig it. I like the fat tires on this thing. This thing is a street machine. It's just an engine away from being...
I've got the drive shaft, the motor mounts, the radiator, power steering, all that stuff. Put your engine and transmission in it to go. It originally came with a 351 and an automatic.
Okay.
We were going to put a 460 in it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I've got this panel here. It's sitting on the front seat.
Okay.
This is a GT. It's got the, I don't know if the door will open. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
It's got all the gauges in the dash, the GT instrument cluster.
Oh, that's a cool dashboard.
Yep.
I'm glad I don't want to buy another car. I like this thing. This ain't too bad. The interior really isn't bad at all.
No. It's had a couple holes cut for speakers, but
A little bit of seat repair, but nothing terrible.
yeah.
Floors clean up. Heck, just a little bit of paint on that would make that look 10 times better.
Yeah, back right here, there's one of the 2 rust holes. It's just a very minor.
Oh, hell, that ain't nothing.
That ain't nothing. Yeah.
I don't think you're asking too much on this thing. I mean, just to get a solid car, it's just like my 73 Satellite. When I first went and got that car, everybody denounced it as a muscle car, said it could never be anything cool. Well, look at it now. People are wanting those cars. And it's the same thing with this Ranchero. It may not be the year of your pick, but look at how cool it is already. I dig it. So, anybody who's interested in this, just shoot me an email and I'll get you in touch with Steve. So yeah, Steve, you brought us that 440 last night.
Yeah.
And we just want to say thank you for that, for sure.
My pleasure.
Yeah, is that when Steve rolls back through, we're going to do some work on that thing.
Yep.
And that's all going to be a part of this video, which you guys will see here shortly, but it's going to be a few days for him and I. He's got to travel a little bit, but the idea is to see if we can make that thing run, and if it can't, we're going to take it apart and figure out what the heck's wrong with it.
Yep.
So that ought to be a lot of fun. So, and hopefully
Thank you.
this thing finds a good home.
Yeah. Well, it'll find a home somewhere.
Oh yeah.
'Cause I want it out of my life. I'm not a Ford guy. I'm not a Dodge guy, so I gave you my Dodge. I'm not a Ford guy, so I want to find a Ford guy for this thing.
It's kind of making me want to almost be a Ford guy. That scoop.
Yeah.
That scoop is just
That is
really
one sexy scoop.
One thing we do want to add on Steve's Ranchero here, that is $4,000 delivered in the Midwest. Isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah, I'll go Michigan, Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota. The car's going to be sitting in Missouri after this video
Yeah.
until it sells.
I don't think you can really do a whole heck of a lot better. I mean, for the money. I mean, we've looked at stuff for sale. We used to do Wide Guys Car Talk, all those talk shows, and we've looked on Marketplace, and that's a really solid old car.
Yeah, it's got a few little dings and dents, but it's easier to fix a dent than weld in new panel to repair rust.
And these viewers know plenty about that, dealing with some of the rusty holes we fixed up. But we wanted to add that in there because that's an important piece right there.
That'll save you $1,000 right there.
Oh yeah, anybody who's got that excuse that, oh, well, I'm not anywhere near that thing. Well, now you don't have that excuse. So email is in the description. Now we're going to go take a look at a 440. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah.
We'll see you here soon. Well, Dad, now we are back here with the 440. Steve is on his way, well on his way to Missouri with that cool-ass Ranchero. And he left us with this that we get to play with until he returns on next week, which will be sometime around Thursday or Wednesday. So we got ourselves a steel crank 73 model 440 out of a motorhome, complete with 4-barrel, all the ignition stuff. Steve really hooked us up. I have no idea. I'll say this to all the viewers out there. I don't know why you guys enjoy this show that much, but it's very humbling that someone would literally just donate an engine like this to us. So, Dad, we just want to say thank you to any viewers out there who are even thinking about this. I mean, we really don't need another big block. This flushes us up as far as big block engines. Hopefully this one we can make run like that 400. Else we'll just have another rebuildable core added to the collection, which is perfectly fine. As Dad always says, ain't making them no more.
making them no more.
So, Steve, thank you again, and hopefully when he comes back around, we can get this thing unstuck if it is stuck, and well, maybe we can make a run. So we got ourselves a thermoquad. He just sat out, and he was saying the motorhome only had like 50,000 miles. He still got the dashboard for it. So I mean, we're not gonna mess around with that. But we're gonna go ahead and pull all the spark plugs, see what it looks like, spray some stuff down the cylinders, and I brought out the big breaker bar, and we'll see if she'll turn over for y'all. So let's get to it. Well, we got all the spark plugs out, and we got some broken fellers. Had a little 5/8 peanut plugs. A couple of these appeared to be smashed in. Not real sure on the cause. They were over on that side. Numbers, that'd be 8 and 6 were like that. And I believe 3 was a little smashed as well. It's still down there on the ground, but I don't know how well it looks in the cylinders. Probably not worth a dang as far as looking with the phone, but we'll give it a shot. Well, there is no way I'm getting a good look at them cylinders, so I'm just gonna spray them down, and then we'll get the breaker bar out, and we'll see if she'll turn over. Alrighty, so I just tested the carburetor, and I think it's froze. So we may need at least another thermoquad, but I think Dad might have at least 6 of them, or 8 of them. He bought a swap meet. I'm gonna hand this to you, Dad. What am I doing? I need to be.
Oh God.
Even though it's just cold enough today, but I'm wearing my Barely Cuda t-shirt today. But it started out as a motorhome 440, but I think it's only appropriate that I wear a motorhome t-shirt while doing a motorhome 440. Oh,
Got something running out the back. What's running out?
it's turning over.
Oh, it is?
Look at that. I'm hitting that, whatever that is that he was talking about.
Uh-huh.
Remember on Mike's 3D3 when we were turning over, we hit a hard spot. It was the balancer hitting, or not the balancer, but it was.
Shoot, it might have just had something in a cylinder. Yeah, you're pumping stuff out of the cylinders.
I got a real hard spot right there. Come back around. It could be. I doubt it's hitting a valve because it's a 73 model 440, but it is hitting something really hard. Right there. Let's see, our balancer mark is lined up perfectly with our line right there. We'll bring this in. We'll see just how much we're turning. So our line lined up right there. There you did. Might be disorienting to the viewers, but that would be. See how far around she's coming on the balancer, and that'll tell us.
Hey, make sure that chain ain't getting bound up. Is it?
The chain?
No, it still is. Okay.
Oh, it's right over here. All right, so we made
Half turn.
about half a turn around, half a revolution. Mark's right down there. So, Steve, we're gonna get this thing moved now, and now we know we got ourselves a video. She turns just enough, so now we'll get the valve covers off, spray all that stuff down, and hopefully we'll get her turning over so that way when you get here, we can make this thing rumble. Because if it'll turn, it ought to run.
Might have to make us a concoction.
We might need to. So we will check back in once we get this thing moving. Well, move it out of the truck at least. Alrighty, so the next goal here is we got the cylinders all full, and we got the engine to turn over a little bit more, but now it's just getting to the point where it's tightening the balancer bolt, or you're breaking it loose going the other way. So Dad wants to build some kind of little menagerie to mount this thing so it's not sitting on the headers and oil pan. Even though it works really good, we're gonna build a little triangle more or less for this thing to sit on, maybe have some wheels or something, don't know, but just want to get it off the ground for the most part. So we're gonna get that done, and then we'll get her in the barn and stash it away. Flashbacks, Dad, to when we built the baby Hemi run stand.
Oh, yeah. Why, man?
Oh, because we bent steel up like that for it. There was that one big V mount in the front. Those holes will work out pretty good, won't they?
Yeah. Yeah, and then we had notched them out.
That would be perfect.
They give them a round bottom.
We're not gonna get too crazy on filming all this part, building this stand. I drilled them holes for Dad on the drill press, and now he's bending up the steel right now because he's a master. You see, you use a tape measure for so much and then you just eyeball the rest.
That looks about right, ain't it?
Yeah, that's about perfect. So, we'll keep checking in. Well, viewers, I want to tell you something. If you find yourself that you're in a funk and you can't get yourself motivated to do anything, I told my dad this morning because he was feeling that funk, but sometimes you just gotta start doing stuff, whether or not it's right or wrong. So I grabbed my spark plug wrench, I grabbed the lubricants, grabbed my breaker bar, and look where we are now. Dad is building a brand new mounting system, basically a big old triangle mount that is gonna support this entire engine and tranny, so that way it's up off the ground and we can work on it. And that is what happens when you just get started doing stuff. Things happen, and once you set an object in motion and you keep it in motion and it's got momentum, you can't stop it. And we call that the Scott Speed Shop machine. And when we get in motion, we get stuff done. And right now, we're not really in motion all that much as far as doing the cars. We're having too much fun working on other crap. But there's your little happy, positive PSA. Let's get back to working on this. I think that's beautiful, dude. Get that finish welded up and, oh yeah. That should work out beautifully. That's freaking beautiful, dude. That worked out really good. It's nice and stable. It's on the rubber technically on all 3 points.
Up off the ground.
Up off the ground. You could technically still put mufflers on this thing if you had neighbors to worry about. Shoot, yeah. Oh yeah, yep. That's a good job, Dad. Fan-fucking-tastic. I think we get
any big block.
Oh yeah, I think with the cast iron rollers or something like that, big ones, this might be able to navigate in the barn. But the idea is to get this thing probably in the barn, because this is how cavemen solve problems. Yeah, we could get, you know, scientific, but just when it breaks down to it, sometimes taking her home, taking her home. Should have been a baseball player or a golfer. Job done. And now, this 400, another big block we got from our good friend Cody, is on a stand. And one of the things Dad wanted to get done in here is get all the engines up on stands so that way they look better and better access. So another step to making that happen. Alrighty, so shout out to Mom and Dad. Big helps there. We got the 440 put in the barn along with that 400 all mounted up on the stand. Mom helped me with that. There you go, Dad, Mom. So I'm gonna have them film this, but we're trying to get this engine on this stand, and we have the common problem that engine's too low and we're too lazy to figure anything else out, so battering device and beating this on. That's pretty fantastic. We got that thing set up so we got easy access to work on both sides of the engine. And it's mounted really nice and sturdy. And well, we got to put some plywood down and more organizing and cleaning in here, which I know I ain't been giving you guys a whole heck of a lot of updates as far as, you know, like reorganizing things. This place is still a freaking mess, but we're doing our best to make everything functional. We want to build like rear end racks and put all this stuff up and eventually have engines on every stand. And guys like, and I'll be perfectly honest, it's guys like Steve who show up and they show us pictures of their shop and the way they do things, and it re-inspires us. It's like, yeah, that's the stuff we would like to have. And all we got to do is get our butts in gear and do that kind of stuff. So, Steve, thank you. Because of guys like you, reminding guys like me, stuff can get done no matter what. All you got to do is put a little bit of effort in, and the reward is right there. All right, so I'm going to give you a quick little update. So Dad has styled us with new lighting fixtures in the barn, simply for, well, we needed to get it done eventually for all this remodeling. And, well, to do this stuff with Steve's 440 here to try and get her running, well, we don't want to be working in the dark. So we got lights, so we'll thank Dad for that one. like it did. And so now the process we're going to start doing is we're going to pull the plugs back out, and we've got some sauce mixed up right there. Got to put a little bit of ATF in there, but that's acetone, PB Blaster, a little bit of WD-40 just for good measure because that's what's left in the jug, and a little bit of ATF. We're going to squirt it in the cylinders, and we're just going to let her soak. I soaked the carburetor. Now the carburetor is functional completely now. It's like brand new. So kind of get it cleaned up a little bit, but also focus on just getting her turning all the way around and probably looking inside of them bores at some point and seeing what maybe is going on, and probably go ahead and get valve covers off. So check in here in a little bit. So we just vacuumed off all the dirt, and we're going to get ready to pop these valve covers. Dad, would you like to do the honors?
Not really.
Okay. All right, Dad. Be gentle. We might want to reuse those someday. I expected a whole lot less care. And, well, holy son of a, look at the odds of that. That is definitely true to the 50,000 original miles. That is like a, there ain't even an ounce of sludge built up.
Look like brand new.
It is literally brand new. It's got surface rust more than, I mean, it's, wow. That's casting number 3751213. So it's a 213 cylinder head on a 1973 440. Just a regular old car head, more or less, but it's very nice. This will be a good engine for sure. And valve cover is any indication it is very low mileage because, yep, there's more rust in the baffle than there is grime growing on it. So we'll see what this other side looks like here in a second. Yeah, it's gonna be where the rat's nest will be. Well, son of a gun. All right, what's broke? Something's got to be broke. The fact that there's still, like, look at the green that's still on that valve spring. Well, I guess now we just need to turn it back over and see if we're seeing anything bind up, maybe. It's probably something down in a cylinder for sure. Probably a little bit of a rust ridge. Old Jonathan W. had a pretty good saying on that. The engines that stick the easiest and fastest are the ones with the tightest tolerances. Engines that are all worn out, they don't typically stick. And if they stick, they don't stick very hard. So, everything we're seeing here is saying she stuck for a good reason. And I don't think we're going to find, I mean, it would be a shame if one of those holes was just completely obliterated with rust. But what I'm seeing so far, I'm seeing pretty good signs here. So we're going to let these cylinders probably soak overnight. I just filled them up. We'll probably sauce the top end up with some lubrication. So I'm digging it. I think if we can get it past that rust ridge, everything's turning over, this ought to be a runner for sure. All right, Steve, get your butt back to Kansas. All right, so one of the things that is kind of worrying with this engine sitting is any of these valves could be stuck. So we're just testing to see if they're free. So all the spark plugs are out, and just with a little bit of force with a stock engine like this, you ought to be able to move each valve just like that. Those two are a little bit stickier than the rest. They got more load on them. All these are open. But as long as your valves will do this, we're not putting any more pressure than just a little bit of weight on there, and that shows us all those valves are moving free and they're not sticking. And we ain't beating on them with the end of the hammer either. Tech tip.
That one, we know is good. That one's basically. Oh, it's already down. I don't move that far. No, now I gotta switch up here. Oh, that one's fluid. Right on the nice grunt boots. And that guy, he's down. Yeah.
Everything's moving freely, so we got a rust bridge we gotta take care of. Alrighty, so we have decided we're gonna just see what this thing does. We put a starter to it, because it can't have too bad of a rust ridge, honest to God. Well, what's it gonna hurt? So regardless, we're just gonna see what happens when we hit that rust ridge with the power of the starter. it'll either, as Dad would say, bleep or bleed. Because no matter what, I'm going to have to blur that out. So there you go. Use your imagination. That first word starts with a C. It's 3 letters. Rhymes with mum or bum. It's like Frankenstein getting ready to breathe life into his monster. Yep. Anna's here too. All right, go for it. That'd be the rust ridge.
Back up a little bit.
At least we got the wiring figured out now. We got new positive and negative cables on the battery, just X-day on all that other old crap. And so now, testing procedures can begin. All right, so I just got done wheeling the engine back, and you can see right there, we have gone back further than where we were. So now, of course you could be measuring it how far you're going around too, but we know we're going backwards. That's how we do things. Hit it, Dad. That, yeah, it again. I think Steve will be very happy. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I mean, I put a little bit of the miracle sauce in it, but in all honesty, the truth is, all the engines we've ever done, Dad, where the heck are you?
Yeah, here.
Oh, look at that. You got the sunlight on you.
I got one of the lights above me.
Oh, well, in all the engines that Dad and I have ever done, we've done nail heads, Chryslers, all sorts of engines, and everything we've ever broke free, we've tried the miracle sauces, all the old-timer tricks, every single one. Even tried heat. Even did Coca-Cola once, and that actually worked a little bit on a baby Hemi.
Yeah.
But to be honest, the only thing that ever truly breaks an engine free in my short 31 years on this earth is blunt force. As Dad says, like I said, there's a saying he says, it'll either word rhymes with bum or it'll bleed. And this is the pure example of it is, if this 440 wasn't going to break free on its own like this, then it needs to be tore completely down and be rebuilt. If it had a rust ridge bad enough, like if enough water sat in this thing, the fact that it turned over half a revolution told us that it wasn't in that bad a shape. Right. And the fact that it probably just seized up just from sitting because it's so freaking new. So, sounds like, Steve, when you get here, we're going to have some fun. Sorry, Steve, you go ahead, Dad. We went ahead and tried to get the engine broke over and freed up before we checked the oil.
Oh, there's some water.
Oh, boy.
Or that might be your... No, that's water.
It's a good thing we didn't turn it over a whole bunch.
Yeah, water.
All right, we'll go ahead and drop that drain plug.
That's just like, well, he said, just crack it and let the water out and you see how much water is actually in it.
Yeah, so it's a good thing we checked that. Steve, I think you were trying to tell us something from the get-go, but we're Scott Speech up. We got to try and get this thing broke free. It's a good thing we didn't keep turning it over, or it would have sucked up some of that.
Right.
So I'm never here when we decide to actually, do things. So we went ahead and pulled the drain plug just to see how much water was in there, and it was about 1.5 seconds worth of water. And the rest of the oil looks very oily.
Very black.
Probably the original oil that was put in this thing by Chrysler. All right, so as with anything, we got ourselves a new oil filter. My trusty dusty oil filter wrench I got from my buddy Big John. John, you know if you're watching this, I still use this thing every time I do an oil change. Thank you, my friend. And we're gonna flush this engine out with a little bit of old used motor oil that we know is clean from Dad's pickup, just to get whatever's maybe floating around inside of there, just get it knocked out. Then we'll pull the filter, replace it with a new one, and put fresh oil in it. At least we know that job is done. As Grandpa would say, it's doing your motor some good. So the 440 now has fresh oil, a brand new Mopar filter on there, some good old Rotella oil, and we got just enough in here just so we can see if it's going to circulate oil and give us a little squirt out of the back port there, and that'll show us it's got oil pressure. So, Dad, I'm not going to say what I want to say, but give her a go. Okay. What you got, Anna?
Something.
Oh, that'd be the transmission. You know, I kind of forgot about the transmission line still being up here. Transmission is, we ain't got nothing squirting out of this port, but this port may be plugged. But we ain't got no oil really coming to the top end really just yet. Nothing coming up to the rockers. So, alrighty, so what we're getting ready to do now is I went ahead and pulled the distributor. Actually, I had my good friend George here, which, funny story, when you guys get to hear the story about George and a particular car of mine, you guys, I imagine, will enjoy that. Kind of like meeting Steve. Really cool, honest people who are just the best people in the world, honest to God. And so, Steve, I'm sorry if we are getting ahead of ourselves here, but I went ahead and pulled the distributor and actually primed the oil pump, made sure it had oil pressure, and, well, actually, as soon as George got here, he saw the geyser of oil shoot across. Yep, landed clear over there on the board. It did not get your bike, did. You can see exactly right where it landed. So, yeah, so she's got great oil pressure. So now we got the gauge hooked up, and we're going to test for spark here in a second with a spark plug. And if we've got spark with all this stuff going on, all this kind of melty motorhome stuff, that's a good sign. Then technically it's just going to need some fire. We're doing a test for spark. Go for it, Dad.
Saw those sparks.
I can see the spark, yeah.
Grind the ground it a little better. Oh, this compression's blowing me away.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not working there. Man, we need to turn the barn lights off. All right, go for it. Perfect. We got spark.
So really just the two wires is ignition and this is starter.
Cool. So that means now the 440. Oh, we never even looked at the oil pressure. See what it was cranking. You want to just crank her for oil pressure? That pumped up to 80 psi.
No shit.
Yeah, sweet. Got good oil pressure. I see oil pumping up here. Great news. That means she's getting oil circulating throughout the system. Excellent. It looks like we need to find a pair of valve cover gaskets, and we need to get Steve here. Steve! I know you're on your way technically, and you'll be here technically in the morning, but you need to like speed it up a little bit here. Also, we need to turn the barn lights back on. It's all dark and kind of scary and spooky in here. Yeah, daggone it. I know this was about collaborating with Steve, but I want people to understand that I feel bad because Steve's missing on some of this, but he's out there living his own life, doing his own adventures, and getting ready with his own YouTube show, which I'm ecstatic for, because actually this whole thing has spurred Dad and I back into action, into everything we love, and Steve, we owe it to you. Because had you not brought us another project engine, we would have gone back to working on whatever the heck else that would have been probably more important, but this has been fun getting to bond with Dad again. Just over, you know, seeing one come together. So Steve, we owe you this one. And viewers, please definitely go check out Steve's Raustabout Ride and Cycle. That's going to be an awesome channel, full of all the greatest tech tips. In fact, we have imported a couple with this 440 that he graciously brought us. So be sure to show the man some love, especially when he'll be here tomorrow. So check you then. Well, the last time you saw us, we were with the 440 and Dad, but now we have a guest. He has returned. The mythical Steve from Raustabout Rod and Cycle. So, what do you say? Let's go check out what he brought this time on the trailer, because when he was here last time, just earlier in the video, he had that really awesome Ranchero, and now he's got all other sorts of awesome stuff. So, let's go see what he's got. Well, Steve, who you got with you?
Hey, I'm Steve. You saw me earlier in the video with a different load of junk. This is my precious little sister, Tammy.
Howdy, Tammy.
I didn't even know she existed until I was 33 years old, and she is the love of my life. We're on a vacation right now. We're heading back to Texas. We're going to have so much fun.
let me show you what we got here. On the back here, we've got a flathead Studebaker 6-cylinder. They made 2 6-cylinders. One was 170 cubic inches, and the other one was 245.6 cubic inches, and that's the big one. So,
Hang on,
well,
Steve.
that's a Studebaker Flathead 6. It come from my buddy Roger in Lebanon, Missouri, and I've got 2 other of those engines. I have those because, I don't know if you can see that. Anyway, I've got a 1926 Ford Model T Roadster pickup with a flathead Studebaker in it. And so they're not making those anymore, so I got it. This engine here is a 350 Chevy that Tammy and I are going to do a forensic teardown on when we get back to Texas.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, we pulled it out of a truck. You can see it's still got the acorns and pine needles and everything else.
Let's be honest, this will probably make a better forensic teardown than that 440.
Yeah.
Because people want to see trash, more or less. They don't want to see, like, that's almost disappointing how nice it is.
Well,
And
let's hope we can get it running.
That's
But,
true.
yeah, this is going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
This is not the first forensic teardown I've done with Tammy. She likes doing that kind of stuff. We have that gearhead gene, both of us.
Yeah.
And we like to work with our hands and build stuff and tear stuff apart. Anyway, the rest of this stuff is all Harley parts.
I'm kind of in love with all the Harley parts.
Got this
Oh.
wooden bike building bench made out of some old solid doors and plywood.
That's a good idea.
Yep. My buddy Danny built that, and he has no more use for it, so he gave it to me. And all the rest of the stuff on the trailer, my buddy Roger inherited from a good friend of his who died. And so that guy's son turned Roger on to all this Harley stuff, and I bought it from him. And this is a 1972 Shovelhead.
Ooh.
It's got a Super Glide front end on it, but those early Shovelheads were basically just an FLH that they put a Sportster front end on. And so it's effectively an FLH with a Sportster front end. And if you ever seen the movie Roadhouse,
Oh, love it.
that bike that Sam Elliott first appeared in the movie on, rode up
Yeah,
on,
yep.
I think I'm gonna build a bike like that one for this.
Steve, I knew there's a lot of reasons why I liked you. That movie is fantastic. And
Yeah.
Sam Elliott, yes.
Sam Elliott's the coolest guy ever.
I couldn't agree
Next to
more.
you and me.
Well, yeah. Alrighty, guys and gals, so I'm going to take a minute away from the spotlight. I'm going to give it all to Steve right
Oh
here.
my gosh, put me on the spot. All right,
Yeah.
helpful tech tip of the day.
You'll get it.
Sometimes even your bad habits, you can pull good things from them. I admit, I'm one of them awful cigarette smokers. But the one good thing that is coming from smoking cigarettes is I buy them by the carton. And when I'm empty a carton, I cut the card stock out of the carton. These make great lists. We're going to use this list to write down our compression figures as we do a test on this engine. Another thing you can use them for, if you ever have a 7-pin plug on your tow vehicle, sometimes no matter how much you wiggle that, your lights ain't going to stay on. But if you take this end of it, tear off a piece like this, fold it in half. As you're putting your plug in there, slide it underneath the bottom in the housing there, and it tightens that up enough where you got a good connection. No extra charge for that. Helpful tip of the day.
From Steve at
Roustabout Rod and Cycle.
Yeah. Steve, you're like that uncle that I didn't get to have. It's like super freaking cool with all the really cool mentor advice.
You mean I get to be the cool uncle?
Yeah.
All right. I dig
All right.
that.
All right, so let's get down to doing our compression test.
All right.
All righty.
All
Yeah,
right.
you ready?
Number 2.
Number 2 compression test.
Looks like about 65.
65. All right,
Number 4. 90.
Perfect. Steve, I'm just gonna let you do all the narration. I like your voice better.
Well, you know, another YouTuber I watch says I've got a face for radio and a voice for print.
Yeah.
Let's see. If I can find the hole.
It's okay.
Number 6.
It's been a while.
110. Number 8.
Ready? That's a good
140.
That's a good
Yeah, Guten Tag. At least we're not doing this. We're doing this in a classy old barn and not some field somewhere.
I know, we're comfortable.
We're not laying in the dirt.
Yeah.
Okay, numero uno.
Oh God. What flying.
95. Number 3. Okay, it looks like about 70.
And that was the nasty hole. That was the one that was spitting out some rusty stuff.
Okay.
I think that was
That was the one that was stuck.
I almost guarantee it.
Number 5. $105.
These are compression numbers just good enough. I bet you
Yeah.
it's pop.
We'll do another one if we can get it started. Run it through a couple of heat cycles.
Oh, they're all
Let
good.
those rings unstick.
We got
Let the
enough
valves, you know. We'll do another one after we run it through a few heat cycles, and it should come up.
here. Yeah,
Or it might go down because we got a lot of oil in them cylinders.
that is true.
Okay. All right. Lastest, not leastest, number 7. Well, that one was almost bestest. That was 135.
Perfect.
That was second bestest. Well, I've seen a lot of first start videos where the guy will pull the dipstick, and this is our dipstick. Works real good, doesn't it? Guy will pull the dipstick, say, "Oh, it's got plenty of oil in it. It looks good, you know. Oh, it's a quart over full," and they put it back, dipstick back in, and think everything's hunky dory. I never do that. Before I ever do a first start, I crawl underneath, loosen that drain plug, put my pan under it, and pull it out just enough till I get some fluid. Seems like I'm getting any water at all, go ahead and pull the plug, drain everything out, and then I'd fill it up with the used motor oil that I took out of my daily driver pickup because I know it's good synthetic oil. It's just a little old and dirty. And but if I don't get water, I just get oil. Go ahead and start it up, get it hot, then change your oil. But if you don't check that first, you pull your dipstick, it's got oil in it. It could be a quart over full because it's actually a quart low but has 2 quarts of water in the bottom of your pan. And guess where your oil pump pickup is? Bottom of the pan. So when you fire that thing up, you're pumping water all through that engine.
And if the viewers will remember, right when we got this engine turning over, thank God we did not turn it over any more than that. Because literally, remember what you told us right there.
Yeah.
We pulled the drain plug and there was just about a couple seconds worth of water that could have got sucked up.
Yep.
But thank God we let it drain out. We flushed it with other oil and now it's got fresh oil in it. And then after that, I did the oil priming tool. And now we got oil pressure and cleaned all the galleys out.
Yep. I'm glad you didn't just take my word for it.
Well, I'm glad I took your advice. This is the stuff right here why I like Steve so much. Regardless of this amazing gift here. This thing could have been a pile of junk, but meeting Steve and having all this advice, because literally that advice, we would have easily overlooked that. So, thank you, Steve. So, what do you say? Let's make this thing run. Or try.
Yeah.
All right, so before we go into any more depth on this and my part of the video, Steve has got some great tech tips, because I'm actually one of the cavemen who refuses to buy into the vacuum advance and the importance of vacuum in an engine, because I'm just a caveman. Tall John's tried to tell me. Steve is now going to inform all of us about it, but it's not going to be in this video, because you got to go to his channel to learn this stuff, because he's going to be putting out all this kind of tech. So be sure to go check that out, because he's going to teach me the importance of all these little vacuum lines that I am more than happy to cap off and get rid of and pretend they don't exist, because that's the easy caveman way, but not the right way. So be sure to go check out Steve's channel. Steve, again, come on. You got to go full character for us.
Roustabout rod to cycle. Warning. I are not a certified automotive technician. I are a gearhead who exited my mama's womb looking for something with wheels on it to build a hot rod out of. If you think following my advice is a good idea, you're even dumber than I am.
I didn't mean that much character. But that was fantastic. You had me a little scared there for a minute. All right, so we're going to be back with the 440 here in a second, but Steve's going to teach me some stuff, and hopefully you guys go to his channel and you get to learn with us.
Ready, not ready? 3, 2, 1, blast off.
Go for it.
All right. Looky there. I think it's going to live. I do believe it's going to live.
Crap on my boot.
Oh, well, it cleaned off your new front boot there. You can see which one's right out of the rock quarry and which one is now freshly oiled. You better get that other boot on the other head or two.
Oh, it's still running. See, it's smoking.
Yeah, all right. Well, see if it'll go again, Dan.
Oh, witch's brew.
It did hit the ignition.
Look at that.
Okay, don't get away. I don't like to know.
Woo!
I don't like to know.
It lives.
Yeah, gone, Steve.
That thing runs good.
Oh, that survived that. I was getting kind of nervous there. I thought Steve was going to try and blow her up for us.
Oh no, I didn't have it over about maybe $2,000 at the most.
Yeah,
But
it
you
was
got-
holding over 80 pounds of oil pressure the whole time.
Man, that thing sounded fantastic.
Yeah, it did.
We got all the crap burned off of the headers. And it looked like it swept the floor. I was hoping it would do this for us. It swept the floor.
Now the oil come out of the exhaust. You did oil down the cylinder.
Oh, the cylinders are.
That'll burn off and it'll run clean.
Oh, I'm starting
Tell you
to.
what,
I'm starting to have
that was
flashbacks.
So much fun. Let's do it again a few more times and get some heat in that engine, run some heat cycles.
Yeah.
And then do another compression check. See if the compressions come up any.
I think that's a fantastic idea.
All right. Let's see how hot this thing is.
Alrighty, so we plugged off a vacuum leak. I forgot to plug the PCV hose back in.
Forgot.
No, I forgot because I unhooked it. Fine, Steve, you forgot. So we're gonna put some more.
I'll cover back on it.
I just knocked over the bell housing. So we're gonna put some more heat cycles in her and do our compressor chest. Dad, you ready?
I don't want to stand right behind her and get all oily.
Come on here, stand
Can I
inside.
stand- can I
That'll
stand there?
reach.
Alrighty, you ready?
Pretty face on camera.
All right, ready?
All right.
I pulled the wrong wire off, my bad.
Uh-oh.
We also got the accelerator pump working too, miraculously.
a screwdriver? We set that idle up a little bit. There we go. All right. Roll sound.
Ready?
Smoke is just rust and oil burning off. Steve's keeping a hand on the head, making sure it's staying nice and cool. That's probably pretty good. That was a solid 3 minutes, so that ought to be plenty heat cycled. She's burning off quite a bit of crap because we did oil down all the cylinders, so there's a lot of oil soaked inside those header tubes. And
but I think we burned off the stuff in the cylinders. It wasn't
Yeah.
smoking out the exhaust, it's just all smoking off the headers.
yeah, that's what I was saying because we've
Yeah.
sprayed so much gunk out on them.
Yep.
And I didn't spend a whole lot of time with brake cleaner, so yeah. She sounds freaking amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Are you sure you don't want to put this back in the freaking motorhome?
Sounds like
I-
I'm a Cadillac guy. I'm gonna run a Cadillac 500 in that motorhome chassis and put about a 46 International body on it with a hydraulic tilting flatbed.
Oh, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
That really is going to be sweet. So,
And I'll build that on my channel when I get around to it.
that is good.
timing dead on.
Well, I put it right back where it was. I marked it, and when I primed it up, I put everything right back to where it was, and we double checked the timing. We had it at TDC, checked all that, and it just right there. So another success. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
You're the man, like in a good way.
Well, I'm not a girl, despite my long hair.
Oh, well, you're not the only one here with. My locks aren't so luscious today, but you know what?
Yeah, I'm not the only one that's fabulous.
Yeah. Steve, we want to thank you very much. You gave us an awesome opportunity here. And by the way, we are going to be doing a compression test on this engine, but that's going to be over on Steve's channel. So if you want to see the rest of the results, you need to go check those out because this is all the time we got for today. So as always, guys, we want to thank you for checking it out. As always, Dad, what do you got to say?
Bye-bye.
Steve?
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And bye-bye, everybody. And, well, if the 440 was running, it would go boop, boop, but I'll add that in there somewhere.
The brick house.
The brick house.